Okay, woo. All right, we're live, so don't say anything inappropriate right now. Thank you. Yes, all right. Lesson 8.8. I can factor by grouping. I'm sure you wrote that down already because you were staring at that. Thanks for being responsible. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. We'll move on. Vocab. Of course, we're dealing with polynomials, so we got many monomials to a certain degree. And factoring, we're going to be reversing, simplifying. You don't need to write that down. You can just stare at that. So, but those are the main words we're going to be looking at, and we're going to do it by grouping now. Okay, so this particular one here, we are going to factor, but we have some problems here. Can we pull out a common factor? No, we can't. What's different about this than we're used to seeing? There's 4. So it's not a quadnomial. It's a 4-term polynomial to the third degree. Okay? And so what we're going to do, we said factoring by grouping. So I'm going to pick a color here that's pretty, like red. And I'm going to group, ooh, yep, see right there. I'm going to group specifically here. And I'll write it here, but I have to be careful here, actually, because when I do that, it's going to change things up a bit. So we'll save that in a second here, though. Okay, in the front half here, what can I pull out of there?
4.
Oh, I use a yellow highlighter to highlight. That's really good. Okay, 4n, yes? 4n squared, yes. And what's left? Okay, n plus 3. All right, so that's what I pulled out here. Now over here, I already had to be careful because I put those parentheses in. This is the way it is right now. It's at negative n minus 3. So I can't just stick the parentheses in. And now I'm going to pull out a negative 1. So I'm going to write minus 1. You want a different color? We'll do blue for this part. Minus 1. And then what's left is n plus 3. But as you saw me there, don't really drop the parentheses in just like I did there. That's bad. All right, you can't just drop them in there like I did. I got to make sure that I'm pulling out a negative. Now, next step is do what? Okay, whichever way you want to write it, n plus 3 is what's in common, and then you have 4n squared minus 1. And I'm done, right? No. As Blake might tell us, we're not done. Okay, because yesterday we had this. This right here is difference of 2 squares. So on the front I have n plus 3, and that's going to hang out for a moment. But over here, I'm going to square root 4n squared. I'm going to have 2n. I'm going to square root 1. And then 2n plus 1. So this was our difference of 2 squares that you have to sometimes recognize. Is that always going to happen? No. It did there. So that's the one that kind of sneaks up on you that you miss, including myself. What's that? Because the middle term cancels out. Right, because the middle term's going to cancel out in that. Okay. Questions about that? Piece of cake, right?
No, it's math.
Okay. Oh dear. Ben, I need to put you on the other side so they don't show up on the audio. So, okay, the next one here. What would our first approach be to this particular problem? Okay, we can combine like terms. Done. Divide by 3. Well, so pull out a common factor of 3. Not just 3. 3n. All right, so step 1 here is to pull out a common factor of 3, and then I'm going to be left with, yep, n to the third minus plus 5n minus 20. Okay, and I almost want to do brackets, and you'll see why in a second, right? Because now, what am I going to do? Group them. Hey, it's factoring by grouping, right? Okay, so that's the title of the lesson. Yep. So now we're going to group right here and here. It doesn't really hurt anything to drop them in because of the plus sign. So on the one spot, well, I got 3 in out front. Then what's in common there? N squared. So I'm left with n minus 4, good, plus, I pull out what? 5, and I'm left with n minus 4. Ding, ding, ding. And so now I have 3n, and then I have n minus 4, and I have n squared plus 5. Can I do anything with n squared plus 5? It's not a perfect square trinomial, and it's not a difference of 2 squares. So that is factored out. Questions about that? All right, one more. Because it's got to be a word problem now. And everyone says, yay. Okay, a rectangular prism has a volume of 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 5x. What are the dimensions of the rectangle in terms of x? So a lot of times the book says what are the dimensions of the rectangle, but really what they mean is in terms of x, because you're not going to tell me 5, 6, 7, or whatever it is. All right. And guess what we're going to do to find these dimensions? You guys are really sharp. Okay. So we're going to factor that out right here. Whoop. Try again. Okay. So what is your first step that you might do here? Rewrite it. I'm gonna rewrite it right there. Okay. What might you do first? Pull out the common factor, which is x, and I'm left with plus. Yeah, plus 12x, thank you, plus 5, right? Okay. So what am I going to do here then? So this is back to 8, 6 really now, right? We're going to take 4 times 5 and get 20. And we want to know what, okay, you already told me, 10 and 2. I didn't even ask the question. What 2 factors add up to be 20? 10 and 2. So I'm going to take x.
Who said added up to 20? You mean 12?
Well, factors of 20 add up to 12, right? Exactly what I said. Okay. 4x squared plus 10x. So that was my first Freudian slip of the lesson. I'm pretty impressed, really. This stuff can be a little tricky. So you're like, I don't even know what that is. I'll have to Google that. Okay, now we're going to split it, right? Here, and not a big deal to split it here. So I pull out, I have the x out front. Sure, we'll go with blue now, just change it up, right? Then I have 2x, and so I'm left with 2x plus 5. Oh, good. That makes it easy over here. Plus, what's in common here? 1. And so I'm left with 2x plus 5. So we should be able to kind of write our final answer and see it all together. But I'm going to have to go up here, probably, to write it. And that is you have x, in whatever order you really want here, 2x plus 5, and then 2x minus 1. And those are your 3 dimensions. Okay.
You spoke too soon.
All right. So the dimensions, I was already thinking about saying something about commas. A lot of times the book will write it as commas when they actually write it out here. So one dimension's x, the other dimension's 2x plus 5, and the other one's 2x plus 1. Okay. Questions about that? Okay, I was trying to keep this a short length too, be efficient, and so I think I'm going to wrap this video up right about now.